How we doing today, y'all? First off, Caleb Can't 2 here, Caleb's Corner. You already know how we do. Secondly, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I haven't seen you guys since 2020. Well, guess what? It's 2021, and we got a lot of things coming for you. We got big things coming. I'm going to get to those a little bit later, right? But right now, I'm going to go ahead and get into what I came to talk about today. Today's episodes are going to be about the Karate Kid series. And let me tell you guys, the nostalgia that I got from having the Karate Kid series on Netflix for a short period of time was amazing. I was definitely one of those nerdier kids growing up. I mean, it's kind of obvious, right? It just be like that sometimes. And then you get in the gym or you start training with a, karate master who happens to be the janitor / handyman at your apartment, aka Mr. Miyagi for Daniel LaRusso. And you just start feeling more confident, and then you can defend yourself. So for Daniel LaRusso, it was a karate master. For Caleb Cantu, it was the weights. But the Karate Kid was awesome because Pat Morita, the person who played Mr. Miyagi, was such a tsunami of a character. He said little to nothing the entire movie. He has such a limited script because his English, he's a Japanese American, but he is still so intense, and everything he says is so wise. And it's because he speaks in short amounts that everything he says has so much gravitas, and it's weighed so heavily. And so that's one of my favorite things about Pat Morita, that he really instilled in the Karate Kid movies, his lessons and the wisdom that he imparted on not only Daniel LaRusso, but an entire generation of the 80s and generations to come, as well as forever, because now we're talking about Cobra Kai. But I'm going to get into that a little bit later. So the Karate Kid was it was awesome. It was a really moving movie series for me, just because I related a lot to Daniel LaRusso, and I really enjoyed watching those films. And so when Mr. Miyagi passed away, that was very sad. They even made the next Karate Kid before he did that with Hilary Swank, and it was a new generation of karate, progressive casting. I was very excited to see it. She was okay, but Pat Morita always coming in here with that wisdom, that this easy comedic aspect of him. He was just so, I don't want to say careless because it's not the right word, but effortless. He was an effortlessly wise and funny man, and he is missed. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into Cobra Kai. I love Cobra Kai, y'all. And if you have seen the original Karate Kids, I promise you that you'll love Cobra Kai. You'll love Cobra Kai as well. I can't get enough of that show. I promise you, I started it in a day and I finished it the next day, because it's like 20 to 30 minute episodes. There's only 3 seasons, and each season has 10 episodes. So you're just flying through them, and each episode ends on a cliffhanger. Each episode is more intense than the last, and the intensity builds and builds and builds until, of course, there's a final intense karate showdown, because of course this is called Cobra Kai, so there are going to be people fighting on the show. It just gets more and more and more intense each season, and the relationships that the characters develop are so intertwined in drama, and it's just so great to see everybody, almost everybody from the original Karate Kid movie series in this show. Johnny Lawrence is the main character. If you haven't seen the trailers, go watch the trailers, guys. But I mean, Johnny Lawrence is the villain in the original Karate Kid. He's the bully that was bullying Daniel, and he lost at the very end, and Daniel was triumphant. He was victorious. So back in the 80s, that was such a huge moment. It was such a big deal that Johnny Lawrence lost, right? That this underdog kid won, and he ended up saving the day for the Valley. We all thought that was a great thing. In this show, you really see like how that moment had shaped Johnny's life, and how it changed him to be this really dark and just depressed character. And everything he does is so hopeless, and he lives his life day to day completely messed up. And he finally comes to a point where he says enough is enough. And it's so funny because the parallels between the show and the movie are so good. How Johnny finds a student at his apartment complex, the same way that Daniel LaRusso found a teacher at his apartment complex. And Johnny is now poor as like dirt. You know, his apartment complex is completely trash, and the kid living there is just this nice kid living with his mom, trying to, you know, make a happy life for himself, and he doesn't really aware of anything, and he runs into bullies the same way that Johnny was a bully to Daniel back in the day. And Johnny stands up to these bullies. Like, the parallels are magnificent, and it's incredible to see how circumstances do change a person, but people can change to be good or bad. And stories are as good as the perspective one has on it. You know, there's three sides to every story. There's your side, there's my side, and then there's the truth. And we saw Daniel LaRusso's side in the original Karate Kid. This show is about seeing Johnny Lawrence's side and how he feels about everything. And then as an audience member, you can know the truth. You can unblur the lines of reality that Johnny and Daniel sometimes skew, because they both have a history with each other and they only ever saw their sides. But we saw objectively as audience members what had happened between each generation. You know, the first Cobra Kai and Karate Kid and the second Cobra Kai in the show. And it's so funny to see the second generation of karate going through almost the exact same thing, right? Because everything is about a girl. And instead of Daniel LaRusso being the cause of the trouble, it's his daughter, his beautiful daughter, that's the cause of the trouble. So seasons 1 and 2 were really good. They came out almost last year, and they've been out for a while. They just released season 3. So I'm going to go ahead and set a timer for like 20 seconds, and you guys should as well. And I'm just going to go off on spoilers for season 3 and why I thought it was so good. Okay, here we go. So first of all, they kicked off Aisha, which was one of the better parts of the show. I thought she was such a fun and loud character. Not only that, they broke Dimitri's arm. I mean, how can you do that, Hawk? You guys were best friends. Then Hawk ended up betraying Cobra Kai. Shout out, shout out. Robbie ended up joining Cobra Kai. What the heck? Kreese is back. He tried to kill Ralph Macchio, but he didn't. Okay, we're done. That was a lot. I know, I'm sorry, but we had to get it in. We had to get it in. So now that the spoilers are done, if you haven't seen the show, go watch the show. I promise you, you'll get hooked and you'll just fall in love, especially if you've seen the old Karate Kids. If you haven't, it's not like the nostalgia won't be there. They show you flashbacks. It's a good show regardless, but if you have seen it, it's awesome. It's a show that you can watch with your parents too, you know, or your grandchildren, if whoever's watching this. It's about connecting generations, and that's another reason about what makes it so good. So yeah, you know, Ralph Macchio, Johnny Lawrence, they do a really good job of portraying those characters and giving us the perspective that everybody's got a little good in them, everybody's got a little bad in them. At the end of the day, it's how you choose to behave and what you do that makes you who you are. And so shout out to William Zabka, who plays Johnny. Shout out to Ralph Macchio, who plays Daniel. You guys are really good in the show. Keep up the good work, and I'm super excited for the next season. Forgot to mention something in my spoilers, but that's okay, because I'm sure I'll bring it up in another episode. So that being said, we're going to get into the final part of this episode, which is where we talk about music. And for this episode, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I don't want to provide you guys with a artist or album that I really enjoy. As much as I do enjoy doing that, I wanted to provide you guys with something a little bit different. I'm just going to go ahead and create a Caleb's Corner playlist on a music platform. I haven't decided personally yet which it is. It'll be Apple Music, if it'll be Spotify, but by the time this video is posted, I'll have posted it on all of my social media, and it'll be attainable through the video as well as the podcast host site. So you are more than welcome to go click on the podcast, go click on the playlist associated with it. Tell me if you guys like it. It's going to be, all I can tell you guys is that it's going to be funky. Okay? It's going to be funky, and it's going to make you get up out of your seat at least one time. At least one time. You know, you may not be vibing the entire time, but I promise you, you're going to find something on there that you're like, because it's going to have something on there for everybody. It's going to be a whole bunch of vibes. So that being said, you guys already know, I'm Caleb Can't Too. This is Caleb's Corner, and I appreciate all of you. Shout out. Thank you so much. We out.